And thanks, Megan. And this is a Fox News alert, and you are looking live at protests in Chicago. The city is on edge tonight after the release of a police dash cam video showing an officer shooting a 17-year-old teenager. We must warn you, what we're about to show you is very graphic. Now, the video shows a white police officer shooting and killing a black teen who authorities say, and you can see, was armed with a knife. The officer reportedly shot the teen 16 times during a 2014 incident and was charged today or yesterday with first-degree murder. Also tonight, we'll check in with Donald Trump. But first, live on the ground in Chicago is our own Mike Tobin. Mike is in the middle of this crowd. Mike, what's going on?
Well, let me go over to one of the demonstrators. This is Shannon Bennett, and let me ask you, what are you trying to get done tonight?
Well, tonight we're here to make sure we send a message that the black young youth that have stepped up in our community deserve to be supported, they have a righteous cause, and that the things that have happened continuously in our community are about to end. So part of what we're doing tonight is that we're drawing the line. A lot of the things that we're talking about is not new. If not for technology, a lot of the messages wouldn't get out. If these young people hadn't raised this issue, the charges would not have been brought against that cop. Right. So that's an indictment on this city, this mayor, and everybody else who runs this system that continues to marginalize black lives.
Now, as far as the charges, first-degree murder, he's facing the potential of 20 to life. Is that enough?
He needs life.
He needs life. So you're already
There's no compromise. Of course. That young man's life is not coming back. So from what I've heard about the video, I've not seen the video yet, he was walking away. So if that was not on camera, other officers were around. No other officers pulled their gun. This cop was there, they said, for 30 seconds. He chose to take that young man's life. So a life for a life.
And you say the other cops who were there are somehow complicit because they stood around?
I didn't say that. I said those other cops did not move. They were there. You saw a squad car. I saw a little bit of the tape. A squad car go past the young man as he's walking away from the officer that eventually took his life.
Right. You think we can get through this without any violence in the city of Chicago?
I don't know. Violence begins violence. We don't want violence, but part of what's happened tonight, the reason we're here right now, is that the Chicago Police Department did what they normally do and continue to incite violence. So they caused riots. So what happened tonight, and you need to hear me, is that young people were peacefully demonstrating, and the police officers incited the crowd and then turned it into something else, and they incarcerated 3 young people to continue this cycle when this was a peaceful march. Right. So that's why we're here right now at this police station, because of what the Chicago Police Department, they incited.
You saw 3 people get picked up tonight.
We were there, yes.
Oh, okay. All right, I didn't see that. I'm not drawing
That's why we're here.
Attention to a sign right behind this gentleman. It was shame on you for a cover-up. 400 days to charges, talking about more than years of the charges. And the other one is that Rahm, meaning Mayor Rahm Emanuel, Anita Alvarez, the state's attorney out here, and McCarthy, the police superintendent, they need to resign now. That's a message from that demonstrator sign. Let me come over to you. Pardon me, I forgot your name.
Valando Dixon.
All right, what are you trying to get done here tonight?
The same as my brother said, just peaceful march. They locked up some people for no reason. So I'm just peace.
I heard some of the people here saying tonight that what they want is to be heard.
Yeah, heard, because it's hard to hear. And that's what I'm trying to hear.
But if you're heard, what's the message that you're trying to get out?
Stop the racism. Stop the violence.
There you go. Fair enough. All right, we've watched them throughout the evening, Sean, marching. There hasn't really been anything that I would characterize as trouble. I haven't seen big conflicts with the police. If you go up to the front of this crowd right now, there's a row of police officers, not with riot gear on, and there's a row of demonstrators not really confronting them, but chanting in front of them. Most of the police that we've seen are bike cops. They'll go and block off the intersections to keep traffic out as the demonstrators are going through. Sometimes these demonstrators will form a ring. A lot of chanting. One of the new chants we're hearing is 16 shots. In reference to the 16 shots that were fired into that young man, McDonald. And that's it. We're watching it throughout the evening. The crowd has grown throughout the evening. Sometimes they get a little rowdy. I want to be careful how I characterize that, because you really don't, thus far anyway, I haven't seen a crowd that's out of control. Sean?
All right, Mike Tobin will be checking in throughout the night. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Joining us now, the Black Sphere's Kevin Jackson, the attorney for Michael Brown and the Michael Brown family, Darrell Parks, former NYPD Detective Bo Dietl, and trial attorney Eric Guster. All right, you just heard Mike Tobin describe the scene we've been watching tonight. I want to go back to a moment that happened during Megyn Kelly's hour, and that is a stare down. One guy getting in the grill, getting in the face of a cop and just staying there and staring. Bo Dietl, as a cop, that is a form of intimidation, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, he knew the camera was on him right there. The cop just held his own. You got to understand, there's a lot of emotions running. Now, what you got to do is you got to really stand down for that point. I know it's very difficult, but they're looking for a problem to occur, and we don't want to make this more tumultuous than it is.
All right, we got to go back to the video, and we got to ask some serious questions about this. Let's go back to the dash cam video that was released earlier tonight. Now, what you see is a young man. 16 years old, 17 years old. He has a knife in his right hand. As he's moving away from the police officers, these two cops approach him. 16 shots now are fired. He's down on the ground. You can even see powder coming up from a gunshot hitting the asphalt. At that moment, let's talk, Bo, about police procedure. You're supposed to shoot to stop. He's at least 12 feet away and walking away from them. He's not a threat at that moment to anybody.
The thing is this. We don't hear the audio. That's another part of this. They're yelling at him, maybe drop the knife, drop the knife. All right.
Or do they think it's a gun?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not listening to the audio. But I saw the raw footage when the guy was down and he was being hit with rounds. And as being a former, New York City detective and cop, I don't see when a guy's on the ground like that where you don't see a gun. And I'm sorry to say I'd like to be supportive, but this one, I can't support someone who's on the ground getting shot 16 times.
And you could see literally the asphalt from the gunshot coming up when he's laying down on the ground.
The raw footage shows him on the ground. He was moving a little bit, and he kept getting hit with the bullets. And to be honest with you, it's a very sad day for that police officer. But all cops are not guilty of what
look at this. Eric, I want to go to you. He's moving away from the cops. There's the first car, the second car, the two cops come out. It's only one cop that makes the shot, 16 shots. He's down. Now you see that asphalt come up after he's on the ground. And if you look at that, you have to ask, why 16 shots when he's down?
And that's why so many people are furious about this, Sean. He was shot unjustifiably the first time. He was going away from the police officers. He was not a threat to the police officers. He was highly outnumbered, at least 6 to 1.
The only thing I want to remind our audience, now, the video is damning. I agree with Bo Dietl on this, but every cop has a right, like everybody else, the presumption of innocence. I want to hear the rest of the story. The only thing that might justify it, and I don't think this is going to come out in the case, would be if he thought he saw a gun and not a knife, and I think that's a far-fetched argument.
16 shots on the ground, there is no
there's no argument. No, I'm saying the first shot.
I hate to
I'm saying the first shot, if he thought it was a gun.
Yeah, but once he was on the ground.
He was going away from the officer. Even if he thought it was a gun, he was walking away.
Sean, and when he's on the ground,
you don't shoot.
I have to agree with Eric.
I agree with you.
You don't shoot with the guy on the ground.
Absolutely not.
Now, with that all said, my biggest problem is all the good officers across this country are doing their job, now are going to be taken under this raft that they're all this corruption and they're killing all the blacks. And I don't want everyone to be convicted on this one cop's wrongdoing.
I've got some statistics about this. Now, this raises an important question. If you look at from November of 2014 to November 2015, let's put it up on the screen. The murders in Chicago from 2014 through November 2015, we've got 818 murders. Can any of you on this panel name one person? One name of one person shot? No.
Laquan McDaniel.
Okay, I got it. But the answer is, but that's my point. Nobody knows the names of these kids. Now, if we look at the shooting incidents in Chicago, I'll put this up on the screen. In Chicago from 2014 through November 15th, 2015, 4,224. That number is enormous. Do you know the names of anybody else shot besides this kid?
And this is totally irrelevant to what we're talking about tonight. No, because what you're doing right now, Sean, you are deflecting from the issue of this young man being killed
Kevin in here.
On TV, on tape.
I'm saying it's not justified.
12 months to even prosecute it.
But I'm saying, well, I think that's a problem too. Actually, good point. But let me go to Kevin. I want to ask you this question. This is important. We don't know the names of any of those 4,224 people shot, 818 killed. And I understand the outrage. I don't like this video. Bo doesn't like this video. It's never justified when somebody's not a threat to you to shoot, and it's not justified to shoot when a guy's on the ground. But here's the problem. There's been so much violence, so many shootings, so many murders, we can't name one other person. That's problematic to me. That tells me this is selective outrage and a narrative that people are advancing. Thoughts?
That's exactly right, Sean. And I know Eric would like to dismiss the many blacks that are killed by other blacks, and the Black Lives Matter movement does the same thing. But there are lots of things we need to consider. First of all, what we need to consider is the fact that the people who were hiding the video, the people who run the cops in the city of Chicago, have all been Democrats. They've been Democrats for years. And I heard somebody say earlier on another program that this has been decades in the works. Well, it's been decades of Democrats being involved with this, running the police, and suddenly it's now an issue. And as far as this goes, to Bo's point, you can't condemn. What they tend to do, Sean, is everybody wants to sound the warning bell every time an incident like this occurs. Now, in this particular case, it looks like this cop did something bad. And what did the police do? Late, they're indicting him. He's going to be charged with murder. Who knows what's going to happen? But what Rahm Emanuel and the chief of police did, or the superintendent of police did today, was do everything they could to say, don't destroy our city over a single incident.
But you know something, but there's an issue of politics that's involved here, Kevin, and that is this happened before the mayor's last election. I think Eric has a good point. Why did this take a year? They had this dash cam video for a year. They knew that they were probably going to indict this cop a year ago because of the video. And why wasn't a grand jury convened earlier? I think Eric makes a very valid.
I have to say one thing, Sean. Yeah. I totally agree. There is no way that this should have taken a year. This is out now. And if there's a cover-up, that mayor should go, and that chief of police. I know McCarthy. This is wrong. This thing should have been prosecuted a year ago.
Let me get Darrell Parks in here. Darrell, I know you and I have disagreed on Trayvon Martin and the Michael Brown case. I'm kind of thinking we might agree here. I don't like what I see on this video. Somebody's innocent until being proven guilty, but he's moving away from the cops. I can see the knife in the video. I don't know if the cops thought it was a gun or not, but you don't shoot a guy that far away, and you don't shoot a guy that's on the ground.
Without question, Sean. And let me also add to that. We now know that this cop had a pretty bad history all along, too. This cop had at least 8 excessive use of force claims against him in the past, and probably 18 other complaints against the officer as well. Those are serious concerns. This guy should have never been on the street whatsoever. And what do we see? Thanks to this video, we see him over this kid, shooting this kid while he's on the ground. This is dead wrong. And the bigger problem, though, it took so long. And one thing that we have found in these cases, justice delayed is justice denied. That's just what we have here.